I have both a Mac and a PC. I use both. I'm familiar a little bit with both of them. I don't know everything about them. I don't work for Microsoft. I don't work for a computer company. And so I not, if I recommend something or mention something, it's because I personally use it or like it. And we're going to take a look at what Windows settings has today. We're recording the session. I have a co-host, Miriam Fernandez, that is helping me because when we end up with more than about 10 people, it really helps to have a co-host to make sure we're being monitored and help watch for questions and that people might have. I'm Bob Cohen, and this is my tech talk for the day. So we're going to take a look at Windows 10, and I'm going to do a screen share. I do have chat open so I can see what's going on. Try and minimize the amount of chat, because it can be distracting to the presenter. Unfortunately, it's one of those drawbacks. But if you have a question, put it in there, and we'll check it when we pause for questions. And I'll pause frequently for questions through this as well. Okay, so let me see if I can do a share screen and show you my Windows 10 desktop. Voila. Okay, you should all see Windows 10 with a winding road on it. Okay, so hopefully that's what everyone is seeing here. Let me go back to the gallery view. Thank you. I always like to check to make sure people are seeing what they're seeing. Now, I don't use Windows a lot on a daily basis, but I do use it occasionally. And Windows 10 is the current version of the Microsoft operating system. So it doesn't really matter whether you buy a Dell or an HP or a Lenovo or a Microsoft Surface or something else, you're going to get a Windows 10 operating system on your computer. And it comes with a lot of things standard. It comes with a web browser, it comes with email, it comes with a few other things. You can install applications on it. But the Windows icon in the lower corner here is the start icon. I'm going to turn on my annotation so you can see things a little bit easier here. Okay, so right in the lower left-hand corner is the Windows icon. It also works with a Windows key. And if you click on that, it brings up things that are options on the menu. It brings up tiles for your applications. It brings up a list of applications here. This is your power on off button, and this is the settings button, this little gear. You'll find that most computers, most software applications, most websites usually use a little gear symbol like this for settings. And settings are where you would go in and make changes to something. Okay, when you first install software, sometimes it walks you through settings, but maybe you have to go back and change something later on. So settings is a good place to go to understand exactly what is going on with your computer. So I'm clicking on that, and it tells you a few things right away. It tells you that you're logged in or not to Microsoft. Microsoft licenses everything over their online services these days. So they ask you to set up a Microsoft account, and they give you a free email, and that tells you who you are and that you're on in your account. It'll tell you if you've updated Windows, and it checks and automatically updates. Now, rewards is kind of something that they threw in to get people to use the Microsoft web browser. I have not redeemed any rewards ever, so I don't really know what they do. I'm not a big rewards program guy, except when it comes to airline miles, and they're not really worth much right now. Hopefully they will be soon. Okay, so there's the settings screen here, and it has a lot of options on it. And I'm going to try and help you understand the most important ones on there. So you can search for any settings, but this one called System and Devices and Network are probably the most important, but there are a few also like Ease of Access. If you want to make the text bigger on your screen, that's one way to do it. And so you can always go to settings. Now, if I want to Close out of settings, typical Microsoft, there is the X in the upper right-hand corner that I can click on to close settings if I want to. Now, the system gives us a little bit of information right away. So there's a lot of options in each one of these settings. So Windows settings, okay. Windows color, I just leave that alone. Night light settings, I leave that alone. But one of the things you can do is change the size of text, apps, and other items. So if I click on this and I go to 125%, almost everything becomes bigger right away. Almost everything. So this is in the system settings on your settings option. If I go back to 100%, it's recommended because more stuff fits on the screen. So I'll leave it at 100% for now, but you can always change it depending on what you want to, and it'll tell you a few things. So it has information about sound and focus assist is something that helps you avoid interruptions. So one thing that if you're working on Zoom or if you want to concentrate, you might be familiar with things like notifications that show up in your phone, like a ding or a banner message or a pop-up. Those are notifications on your Windows PC also, so you can stop them as well. You can see how much battery power you've got. You can see other information, but one of the most useful is this one at the bottom called About. About will tell you all of the things you need to look at on your computer. It'll tell you your processor, how fast it is, your RAM, your storage, other things about it, and it'll tell you your Windows license key information if you ever need to go to it. So that's About. It's really handy. So it's just a matter of looking at it. Some of you might have a PC that also works as a tablet, and so you can modify that or change that if you want. So those are just a few things that are helpful. Now in the settings, there's a back arrow that you can go to and go back to the main settings screen as well. Okay, most people have a printer, and somebody had a question about Bluetooth. Okay, so if we go into Bluetooth and other devices, this is where I can add a Bluetooth device to my Windows computer. Now, Bluetooth is a tool, is a type of network that communicates. You might use it in your car. You might use it in for a speaker or other things. You might use it for a mouse. So those are things you can do, and it shows you other devices that you've got connected here. And printers and scanners is listed on the left here. So this shows you the printers that are connected. This is the only physical printer. All of these are software printers, oddly enough, that exist. So if you ever wanted to locate your printer and have it set up or set up a new one, you could add a new printer as well or add a new scanner. You can do it here as well. All right, now the next thing is what I want to look at is ease of access. So I'm going to share my screen again. And again, we're in Windows settings here. And if I look somewhere over my screen, I should find ease of access. Okay. So if I look at this and I click on ease of access, here's how you make the text bigger on your Windows computer. There's a slider right up here that you can slide up, and you can see right above here the text changing so that the text is easier to read, and then just click on apply. Wait a second, and now the text is bigger. So one way to do it is to make everything bigger. The other way to do it is to change the text here, because I know a lot of people like to do that with their iPhones. It's another way to do it here is in the settings here called ease of access. Okay, you can change your mouse pointer. If you want a bigger pointer You can change the size of the pointer. I clicked on mouse pointer here. And so if I slide this and drag this over, you can see the mouse actually getting bigger for me all the time. 6 is pretty big. I generally don't need that big a mouse myself, but I'll leave it here at 1. You can change the pointer color. I didn't know that. Okay. So if I wanted to change it to a Christmas color, for example, I can let's do it something. This looks a little bit close, but I can change the actual color of the actual inside of the pointer. So these are tools to help it make it easier for you to use your computer. Sometimes that pointer doesn't show up, and I always have to shake mine a little bit to find it. But you can have a white filled pointer, you can have a black filled one, an inverted color. That's interesting. Okay, so it's black with white outline. I don't think I like that one very much, but or a color one. So we can change this to and I can pick a custom color. That gives me a whole range of colors. So let's go with a bright green Christmassy color here. Okay. All right. So now I've got a Christmas a Christmas cursor for today. All right. So there's something called text cursor. Okay, when that text cursor flashes like this, you can make it bigger or smaller if you want to. That's when you're working in text, you can do that. And I've got a color set for my mouse pointer, so it can be a custom color if I want to, and I can change the thickness of it to make it easier to see. See how that makes it thicker right here? It makes it easier for see where that pointer is inserted. So these are all little tools and ease of access that you can drag and modify with menus. Now, Magnifier gives you the ability to magnify things and zoom in on them when you press the Windows key and the plus to turn on the magnifier, or the Windows key plus escape to turn off. The biggest problem with this is that you might forget what keys to press to turn it on and off. So, but you can actually magnify a part of your screen if you want to, if you choose to. So if we turn that on, and I tap, that you can see how things got really, really bigger here. And I have to figure out how to get this off now. Okay, so let's see if I hit the command key and stop. Let's see if I can get out of this here. There we go. Okay. It's big. It's 200%. So if you have the text bigger and the magnifier on at the same time, it really makes things good. For audio hearing, there's audio and closed captions. I've never really used closed captions too much, but when an application has closed captions in it, here, this tells you what the captions will look like when it plays in Windows. So if an application does have it, you can access that and work with that. And then audio gives you the ability to adjust to make your device volume a little bit easier to hear, or turn on mono audio instead of stereo. Sometimes it's easier to make out voices when they're in mono instead of stereo. On Windows settings, let me get my annotation here, my spotlight. On the Windows settings in the update and security, remember it always tells you where you are, and if you can go back with a back arrow. One of the things you can look at is troubleshooting, and it'll ask you, it'll run troubleshooters for you. And Windows has done a lot in each increasingly better version of Windows. In Windows XP, an old one, they didn't have much in the way of troubleshooting. If something went wrong with Windows XP, your first response was to call your local computer technician and have them come over and look at your computer. In Windows Vista, they put a few things in, but Windows Vista wasn't really their best version of the operating system, but they did improve security a lot. That was their main goal with that. Then they came out with Windows 7. And in Windows 7, Microsoft started putting in a lot of diagnostic tools that would automatically check and do troubleshooting for you and say, hey, you're not connected to the network. Do you want us to troubleshoot that for you? Or let's see if you've got any problems with your computer. Now, some computers from brand names like Hewlett Packard and Dell and Lenovo, they might include a little utility from the manufacturer that lets you run troubleshooting and diagnosing things as well. But Windows has this thing called troubleshooting in it, and you can see if anything's now, it says no recommended troubleshooters right now. So, but I can look and see what additional troubleshooters, remember that green mouse, now my icon is green. And Windows 10 has a lot of troubleshooters that are here. So I can look at finding and fixing problems with connecting to the internet, or finding and fixing problems with playing sound if I have a problem with sound on my computer, finding and fixing problems with printing, resolving problems that are keeping you for updating Windows, fixing and finding and fixing Bluetooth devices. We don't usually have this problem with incoming connections, but you might have a problem with your keyboard or some other things that you might have. So, but these are the most troublesome issues for people. So if you run this, it'll run the troubleshooter, and I'm just going to sit back and relax because I basically have a computer technician from Microsoft doing work trying to detect problems and seeing if there's a problem with my printer or not. If there's not, I don't really have it. So which would you like to troubleshoot? That's my Epson that I have, and I'll check and see if there's any problems. Hey, troubleshooting couldn't identify the problem. That's because there aren't any. Okay, so I can view detailed information here, and it will tell me that none of these issues. So it will check if the paper's low, toner's low, if there's a jam, if it needs an update, if it's turned off. So it's like, none of these issues, there aren't any issues, which is good because I don't like issues. But these troubleshooters will let you run automatically, and they'll tell you if there's a problem you have to fix and guide you through it. So Microsoft built in a lot of troubleshooters into Windows 10, and they're in the settings, update and security, and troubleshoot. So they're there for you. So I'm going to show you, try one more thing. I wanted to wait to try this until I was online because I have never done this. Okay, so one of the things that showed up in Windows setting that I had never seen before was this thing on phone. It says link your Android and iPhone. I have no idea if this is going to work. So this is kind of like our computer experiment of the day. Okay, so I'm going to try it. And what it does is it's great, is I can see recent photos from my phone right on my PC, or if you're on your phone, send web pages straight to your PC. So it says add a phone. I don't know. And they also have help. I'm going to close this a second. It says importing photos to your PC. A lot of people have trouble doing that. Let's add a phone. I have no idea if this is going to work. Okay, so I can click on iPhone, start on your phone, and continue on your PC. Oh, that's pretty neat. Okay. Well, continue. Go to your phone and go to this link. Okay. Or you have to install Microsoft Edge. Okay. So so that's one thing. So it might take a little long. Let's try this out. Let me try this out on my phone, see if I can do it. You can't see my phone right now, but I'm going to this web page, a.ms/link your phone. Go and takes me to Microsoft, and it's a little confusing. I think I'm going to have to figure this out myself at some point. So it's going to have me do a few other things. It's not taking me to exactly the right website I want to go to on Microsoft. So if I do this one, installing Microsoft Edge, will probably be a little bit easier. So I'll try doing that later and see if I can figure it out. If it works, I'll do it in another tech talk for you. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to settings. And then we can see you can search your files. You can check your privacy. And you can check your background. Background's nice. We like to put backgrounds on our phones, but we're not always sure how to put them on the back of our desk. So let's check my background here. And if I want to change a picture, I think I can do this here. Let me double check and see if I got a Christmas picture I got that I hopefully will upload. And I can choose that picture. So there's my background now. And I've got a new background on my desktop. So if I go back out of settings and I go and close settings here, hopefully, and close security, there's my new background. So if you like to put new backgrounds on your phone, why stop there? You may as well do it on your desktop too. So the way to do that, obviously, is to go to settings and then click on the settings icon, and then you'll see background here and the ability to do this. So I've got a green mouse and a Christmas light decorated background here. Oh, just ways you can modify things a little bit for yourself on your phone. Okay, well, just wanted to introduce you a little bit all the Windows settings. Maybe if I get a chance, I'll try and figure out some good ways to download photos and see what happens when I try getting that phone connection link in Windows 10 and see what happens there. Okay.